Welcome to Conversations Below the Surface, the CBS podcast shorts. I am your host, Marcus Gentry, and we hope you enjoy this episode. We're calling this one Conversations with Former Members of the Notations. So some of you know that I was a member of the Notations for a number of years. And I wasn't in there by myself. I was in there with a few others, and some of us have left and we're no longer members of that. And so what I decided to do was to have a podcast, have a video where we tell our story, because here's what we know for sure. If we don't tell our own story, other people will tell our story, and it'll be based on their highlights and what was important to them. And it may or it may not include us. It may be accurate or may not be. So I thought for those who follow me, follow us, you might be interested to hear actually from the mouths of people who were part of the Notation, what our experiences were like, what it's like for us now, some memorable moments for us. So, you know, we invite you to go with us on this journey. It's going to be a good journey, a free-flowing conversation, and we're just going to talk about some things. And I've got with me one of the original members from when I came in, Mr. Bobby Thomas. We call him Bobby T. Bobby T, welcome to this video special, man.
Blessings to you, black man.
Yes, sir.
Honor to be with you, my brother.
Man, bro, I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad you carved out a few moments out of your schedule to do this sit down to have this conversation, man. It's gonna be a good one, man. I'm even gonna mention some of the folks who are no longer with us, man, and we'll talk about that later. But let's dig right into it, man. How long were you a member of the Notations? I guess that's the very first question. How long were you a member of the Notation? Then we'll go into how you actually got to be one in the beginning. Then I'll tell you my story.
Well, I was with the Notations for over 37 years.
Wow.
When the Notations first hit, there was a young man by the name of Jimmy Stroud who left the group and went into the ministry. And that's the time that a young man by the name of Emmett Garner put me and the Notations together. We also had another young man by the name of LaSalle Matthews, which everybody called him Tiny. And he weighed close to 300 and something pounds, but that was my guy. He was the guy who originally taught the Notations routines.
Really?
You would not believe a man that big could float like a butterfly. But he was something else, man. He was good spirit. Very energetic, very outgoing, easy to get along with. But it's been over 37 years now. I've left the group. I've been away from the group now about 10 years.
Wow, has it been that long? Well, we gonna get into that part of it later, but that's it. So Emmett Garner is the one who introduced you to the Notations.
Yes.
Okay. Were you performing before that already?
I had my own independent thing going.
Okay.
And I was out doing my thing when the Notation situation came along. Emmett Garner called me and said, "Hey, man, I know some guys looking for a singer, man. I think you'd fit." And, there was guys in the industry that we rubbed elbows with and did a lot of business with. They had a knack for putting situations together, being a part of it, and then they disappear.
Wow.
I went through that a couple of times. I was with another group called Channel 3, and that consisted of a young man by the name of Mitch, who was the lead vocalist on the song Gorilla. Do you remember the Gorilla? Go, Gorilla, go now.
Yeah.
Those were the
lead,
days, my brother.
and he was the lead singer of that.
Yeah, he was the lead singer, and a young man by the name of Wells Wallace put us together, me, Mitch, and a guy named Jerron Johnson, who was with Emmett Garner, who had a group called The Trends. Do you remember The Trends?
I don't.
You don't. Well, you're from Baltimore, aren't you?
Right, right.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why. But man, you know, it was so great about this, man. This city has so much musical history.
Yeah.
So much musical history. And you know, one thing I could never understand when it came down to music, and I bet this has never crossed your mind.
What's that?
Why is it that blues artists and R&B artists don't mix?
I don't know.
If you notice, check this out. If you notice, you go to a blues show, John, Joseph, and Jonathan can come in the door, and they blues singers, they gonna come up on stage and
That's
sing.
true. That's
You
true.
don't
That's
see
very
that
true.
at R&B. You don't see that
You
at
really
R&B
don't.
concert.
You really don't. You don't see
Now,
it as
not
much.
knocking blues artists, you understand what I'm saying? But that has always been there. I know a lot of blues, local blues guys here, man,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
tear
yeah, yeah,
stage up.
yeah. You're right. So let me ask you this: when you first became a part of the Notations, was that like a what was your vision of what would happen? Was that like a real exciting time for you, or was it just another step in the journey? What was
No,
your vision of once I become a part of that? What it's going to be?
it was exciting times because those were the early days. Those were the training years.
Mm,
Those were the years when these groups. It's entirely different now. Back in the day, groups had to load up station wagons and all that, and you know, pile their band members up and go across these highways and byways. Man, that was dangerous.
mm,
But that was the way they made their living. You know.
right.
But one thing I can say, all the years that I entertained, I'm retired now.
Mm.
I always kept a job
Oh, no
and had
kidding.
a, oh yes. See, I always knew that music business can
Hmm.
be flaky. And
Right,
I wanted
right.
something when I stepped away from music, I wanted to have somewhat of a comfortable life. Notations made some money out there, you
Yeah.
know. Times were good, you know. Thank God, being raised the way I was able to, you know, handle money and
Okay.
wasn't blowing money out drugging and all, you know. I never got into that, you know.
Right.
But thank God for that. But that was in my upbringing. But
Wow.
you know for a fact out there on that road, man, hey, that's a jungle out there.
That's something very different. Something very different.
Yes, it
So
is.
yeah, I was curious as to how exciting it was for you, and so you're saying you kept that 9 to 5, if you will, or whatever the shift was. You kept that regular job, so you knew you had something solid to fall back on, something that would have pensions and retirement plans and all that built into it.
Exactly.
That was smart.
Exactly.
That was smart.
And
That
it,
was
yes, that's right. It's paying off too.
smart. You've lived long enough to be enjoying that now, right?
Yes, sir.
That's
Marcus,
beautiful.
thank God. I'm 82 years old.
What a
And if
gift.
I felt any better, I'd be lethal. You hear me?
that is a joy. That is a pleasure. And I need the world to know and hear these things in your voice. That's beautiful to hear. Let me tell you how I came into the group. Um, uh, I was doing some solo stuff on my own, not a lot, but I was doing hit and miss here and there. And I came to, I believe it was the birthday party for Herb Kent. And a good friend of mine, Marvin Jr., who is the son of the lead singer of the Dells, Marvin Jr. We are and still friends. And we sang together before too. And he said, he ran into me at the party. He said, man, I know a group that's looking for somebody. And around that time, Michael Thurman was walking by, and I knew Michael Thurman from the Stepper set. And we saw each other and we greeted warmly. He said, this is the guy. He said he's looking for somebody, for the Notations, looking for somebody. So Mike walked me over to you all, and that was you and Cliff that was sitting in the VIP section at the, I guess, like I said, this birthday party, I guess, for Herb Kent. And that's when I met you guys, and he introduced me to you, and you all set up a interview, audition, if you will, for me to come to you all's house, Cliff's house at the time. No, your house. I'm sorry, not Cliff's house. That's
where it was.
Excuse me. I went to your house in the basement, and I was actually stepping at a club on the south side the night I had to come to you all's place for that audition. I was so excited, and I went over to your place, and I was telling you what my history was and sang a little bit. You want to sing, or what do you want to do? And you all accepted me in. Man, I was so excited. I didn't know what to do. I came back to the set and told my friends, hey, I'm a part of the Notations. And I always add to that, the group that made the record, I'm still here. Seems like you have to add that into it because they don't know sometimes who it is. They say, oh yeah. And man, that's how I became a part of it. And so Michael Thurman was the one who introduced me to you all, and we became close. And one of the things that Marvin Jr. told me, he said, man, you get in the group, man. He said, make sure y'all stick together, man. Because a lot of stuff can pull you apart. He said, make sure y'all stick together. And so Mike, who is no longer with, he passed a couple of years ago, was my roommate on the road, and we shared a lot of time and experiences there. So that's how I came into the group to be a part of it, and was very, very excited. Which brings us to, I think, one of the rich parts of this conversation. What are some of the memorable times that you remember from being a part of the Notations, either before I was there, while I was there? What are some things memorable moments for you that stand out?
Oh,
in your own book?
The heyday. Back in the day, matter of fact, this guy just passed a few months ago. I don't know if you remember him or not, but Jay Johnson. He was a jock at VON. He was a jock at JPC. Jay moved to Indianapolis and became the super jock there. And Jay and the group was really tight. And Jay had us up there quite often, at least twice a year, 2-3 times a year, But I never forget the first time we went up there to work for Jay. We were so blown away because of all of the women around the place. They beat us to the hotel when we were going to stay.
Did they now?
I said, man, this is crazy. Oh, man, listen, they were lined up all along the stairway, and we were on the second floor. That line went from the vestibule all the way up the side of the stairway, man. And they outside our rooms sounding like bees, just buzzing.
No kidding.
But I wasn't into that. So
that was in Indianapolis?
Yeah, that was in Indianapolis. And I can tell you a lot of stories from the road, boy, but that we won't get into,
What was it like for different promoters? What was it like for different promoters that you work with early in the day with Notations. What was the experiences like with that?
It's funny you said that because when you said that, I thought about Portland, Oregon.
Hmm.
We got booked up in Portland, Oregon by a drug kingpin.
Really?
Mister, yes, sir. Now, we didn't know this guy was a drug kingpin, okay, till he came to the hotel. He had about 3 or 4 other guys with him, look like they killed their mama. So,
No shit.
the night of the show, the promoter came backstage and he came back with 2 of his henchmen. And he said, hey, man, he said, listen. He said, Bobby, he said, y'all go back to the hotel. He said, we got some business to take care of. Come to find out, there was 2 cars of gangsters sitting out front, getting ready to come in and shoot the place up because this guy and him were having difficulties. Mister, listen, we went right on back to the hotel in our outfits. Didn't change nothing. You hear me? Went back the next day and got our clothes.
You left your clothes at the place?
Left it at the place. Went back to the hotel in our uniforms. But it was, let me tell you something, it was some dangerous times out there then. Dangerous times, man. Just being on the highways.
Yeah.
Was really dangerous, man. And then also, that was the early days of the Notations was still in the mix of that racial thing, like a lot of the stations we stop at, whites only. You know what I mean? Those signs were still up.
There was still signs saying whites only.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Man, let me tell you, it was, you know, one thing about, one of our group friends, Blue Magic, they got stopped on the highway and the guy made them sing.
I think I've heard about that. Yeah, I heard about
Yeah.
that.
And the only reason they got away because the cop's daughter, I think it was, like Blue Magic. Ain't that something?
That is something. That is something. Yeah, that's something story. That's some story. So when you had some of those times early on, it was you, Cliff Curry, and was LaSalle Matthews or Tiny? Was it the 3 of you all?
No, it was me, Marcus. Marcus. Thinking about you, boy.
Yeah.
It was me, Cliff, and Walter had died. I mean, Tiny had passed. We had a new group. Now let me see now. Me, Cliff. Oh no, it was just me, Cliff, and Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when Mike had came into the picture.
Okay.
So how long was Mike with us? Really?
Mike got with you all a couple of years before me. And I was with you for over 20 something years. So he was with you a couple of years before that. So when you were in Portland, who was that? That was you and Cliff, and who else was in Portland?
Tiny.
Okay.
That was me, Cliff, and Tiny.
I actually went to.
That's good.
I hadn't been in a group too long, but I went to Tiny's funeral with you all. And that was when I first saw in person the Clark sisters. I think the Clark sisters sang at his funeral. Then I hadn't heard them in person.
His mother was into the gospel scene tough.
Okay.
And matter of fact, Tiny was also a good friend of Billy Preston.
Oh, no kidding.
And yeah, Billy used to play for his mother's group. I forget the name of the group she was with. the Martin Singers, I think. Roberta
Mm,
Martin Singers. Yes, I haven't forgotten that, man. It's been so many years ago now.
yeah.
But that's when those women gospels was really big then,
Okay. 'Cause
caravans and stuff,
I remember them being at Tiny's funeral, and that because I never met him while he was alive, but I had that experience of seeing them at that funeral. Do you remember how Mike came into the group? We give honorable mention to him. He passed on a few years ago. Do you remember how he came into the group, Michael Thurman?
Yeah, Mike was working CTA and
Right.
he was working the L trains on the L trains, and he ran into Cliff,
Mm.
and Cliff asked him if he was still singing, and he said yeah, and Cliff invited him to rehearsal, and he came to rehearsal and he did a little singing and what have you, and we put him in the group. They put him in the
And
group,
he
man.
was in there for quite a while. I know he stayed in there um, until he started having some health issues, and I don't know if it was a part of an acid reflux thing, but he started having health issues, and he actually wasn't able to sing like he wanted to. But he did love singing, and we have a lot of stories of spending time on the road together. One of the memorable things, so I've got a lot of memories in my 20 some years with you all as well. One of the things I remember about you, Bobby, in particular, is that you were really on me about making sure I get my publishing and making sure I get my writers and making sure that I get registered as an artist, as an independent artist, making sure that I do that. And I remember that because you had said it to me early on in one of the early rehearsals, and I heard it, but I didn't move on it. And then you asked me again, like next rehearsal or something like that, or rehearsal after that. You asked me about the same thing, and I moved on it. So I appreciate that, and that has served me well, down through the time. Not that I have a lot of things with royalties coming in, but I'm registered. I'm registered. I got a publishing
Yeah.
house, and you told me that was an important thing to have. And I also knew that you were the one that seemed like you were the keeper of the records and the history, and which I think is so righteous that we're having this conversation, because all our rehearsals were at your house for the most part, and it was at your place that there was pictures around the wall of previous shows and things like that, and you had pictures of us and pictures of other people. You carried a lot of history, and I think you still have a lot of that history. Every once in a while, I see you post it, and you've got rare clippings of a lot of that. So I thank you for that, because that still serves me today. So I appreciate that. I
Mm-hmm.
remember some memorable times was us traveling with Pixie Tours. Uh,
Oh
that
yeah.
was some exciting times. And for those who don't know, Pixie has a travel agency, I guess you would call it, Bobby, that uh, you travel on these buses across the country. We went to Canada with her. I think it was with her. Ended up going over to Canada, and we went down to Hot Springs, Arkansas, multiple times. But it wasn't just us. You remember, Bobby? We traveled with Casper, who's no longer with us, Sonny and Pepper, and I don't know who's on here that's going to remember the art. You remember Sonny and Pepper?
Yeah. Funny you mentioned that because there's a guy who works at my dentist's office
Uh-huh.
that's related to Sonny.
No kidding.
And every time we get together, we bring him up. Him and Sonny was tight.
Sonny and Pepper, they were great entertainers. It was like it was. I wouldn't say it's vaudeville, not that far back, but they were old school entertainers, and he was good. He was good. So she
You
had
remember
them.
Ernie Terrell?
I remember Ernie Terrell with us. Who the guy who was in Soul Food? He passed away. Carl something, wasn't it? he was an older guy, and I don't know. He was an
I
actor
know who
as
you're
well.
talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember his last name, but he was with us. But we had a lot of experience. We would go to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and we went on these different tours with Pixie, and we'd be all on that bus, traveling from here through the South, stopping and eating along the way.
Well, let me ask you this, Marcus. Do you miss that?
I think fondly about it. That's a great question. I have some fond memories that makes me smile when I think I definitely enjoyed the good times, of meeting new people, going places, the times we rode together and laughed backstage about things that happened, and then laughed backstage about what happened on stage that wasn't supposed to happen. Routines that may not have been done. Or notes missed.
No, man. Marcus, I tell you, like I said, I've been retired 10 years, man, but people say, I know you miss it. I know you miss it. I don't miss it that much,
Nope.
I look at it as a life experience that I was fortunate enough to see a lot of our country.
Yeah.
And it didn't cost me nothing.
Yes.
And the satisfaction that I really, really appreciate, we work with the best out there.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
We work with the best out there, man.
Bobby, do you remember?
A lot of them are gone now. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you, man. That's an unforgettable experience, isn't it? Do you remember when we went to Baraboo, Wisconsin, and opened for James Brown? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was.
Do you remember James Brown got pissed off? You remember when we came out and hit the stage, the mics wasn't on?
I sure do.
And I looked across, James' dressing room was at the far end of the auditorium. You could see his dressing room. And when we hit the stage and the mics wasn't on, I looked right over there at that door and James was peeping. And I found out from his drummer that he didn't like opening acts. Ain't that something?
That's something
That's
else.
why he did that.
That
but
is
now before the Notations, I opened for James Brown at the Auditorium Theater when I was doing my own production work.
No, I didn't know that. I saw a picture.
And he was, yeah. I was just getting ready to tell you about the picture. Man, I was popping pictures left and right, And James was standing there and he looking at me. And I could see he was getting kind of pissed off, So he walked over to me. He says, why are you taking so many pictures?
Really?
I said, well, you the Godfather. You know, how many Godfathers do you get? I want some pictures. And he said, well, take one more and let's call it a day. James wasn't no joke, boy. You hear me? He was an ex-boxer.
I do remember that.
Jackie Wilson was an ex-boxer.
Yes.
I can tell you some stories about Jackie Wilson too, boy.
Did you work with Jackie Wilson?
But those were the good old days, man.
Did you work with because you worked?
Well, that's when I was. When I was with a group called Channel 3.
Mm-hmm.
I had a group called Channel 3. We was at Brunswick Records with the Shy-Lights and Walter Jackson. That was the stable that was there at that time.
Mm.
But Lost my train of thought that quick. But
That's right.
like I said, man, we have worked with the best out there, so I don't feel as though I'm missing nothing, because most of them gone anyway.
Most of them
Natalie
are gone.
Cole, James gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember because Syl Johnson is gone, and Syl Johnson had a lot to do with you guys, right?
Yeah, well, Syl was the first one to record us. The notations. Uh, he was really in our corner, man. He was really
Yeah.
in our
I
corner. But
yeah, yeah, he had quite a strong personality, an interesting personality. He was quite a fella. Uh, One of the things I remember about him in touring was when we were, I don't know if you were on that bus tour with us when we went on that bus tour around. I don't know if you had left by then.
yeah,
You were with us when we did the bus tour?
I'm in too. Wait a
Huh?
minute now. I was on a tour with Seal and y'all. Was there
Yeah.
another one after that?
No,
Oh no,
no, the
I didn't
one
know.
where no, only that one where we went around to Columbus, Ohio, different places, and and then Casil ended up getting off the bus because he said he didn't like riding on the bus, and he ended up taking a plane to something else. But what was amazing to me is to see all the white folks singing "Is It Because I'm Black," which is one of his songs. I couldn't believe that was an amazing thing. But back to the James Brown story, I remember getting into one of the biggest disagreements with Cliff before we went on stage because he didn't want to do the acapella. We had been working on the acapella stuff, and I was really wanting to do it. He didn't think we were ready to do it, and I wanted to do it. And we just went back, but we ended up doing it. And I think they still do an acapella, and we end up keeping an acapella segment in our shows from then on. But he was okay after that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
I tell you
we,
something else. Did you get the video I sent you?
I did of what they're doing now.
Did you watch it?
I saw part of. I had seen it before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had seen
But
that one
anyway,
before.
did you notice how Cliff has super improved in his routine movements?
And that's something to say. That's quite a thing to say.
I know it is, especially coming from me.
Exactly. Man, we definitely had some time. We have definitely had some good times together. A lot of memories. Yeah, not something I'm looking to go back into with that kind of thing, but it was some good experiences over the years. And like you said, meeting all the people. I think one of the big exciting times for me was when we went. Alan Beck brought us to the West Coast for the first time.
Oh yeah.
And then we got on, and he only books those huge arenas, 20-some thousand seat plus.
And you know what? You know what was so amazing about him?
What's that?
They could be having the Academy Awards going on, and his arenas would still be packed.
They'd be packed
if he had a show going.
I think he was genius. I think he was genius at what he was doing because he had primarily Black and Hispanic artists on the show. The orchestra was primarily white, and the audience was 95% Hispanic. He was masterful. Him and Art Laboe. I asked Art Laboe, how are they able to pack these arenas? Art Laboe told me backstage. He said, when you own several radio stations, you can do that.
That's what he owned.
He did. That put us on stage with Peaches and Herb, who made Me and Mrs. Jones?
Billy Paul.
Billy Paul.
Billy
Peaches and
Paul.
Herb, Manhattan's, Bloodstone, Heat Wave. Man, just to be on stage with those artists, share dinners with them, because that's one of the things that Alan Beck did at the shows that he put us on. He treated us all with great respect, prepared a full, you remember how
Yes,
he used
he
to
did.
prepare full dinners and meals for all the
Yes.
artists to come. Denise Williams, Evelyn Champagne King, to sit, eat together, laugh together, talk together, and go to the stage. And unlike some other promoters that I work with, at no point, in spite of the arena being huge, was he looking at the door and looking at his watch and, man, I thought we was going to sell more tickets than this. And never stressed, never an issue with the money. He was always relaxed and in a good mood with everybody.
Well, do you know when he started out who his partner was?
I thought it was just like
Brenton
his father,
Wood.
right?
You remember Brenton Wood?
Who?
No. Brenton Wood.
Mm-mm.
He had the Oogum Boogum song.
I know that song.
Oogum Boogum Boogum.
Right.
Brenton Wood and
partner?
Alan they started that. And Brenton Wood come down sick. And Alan borrowed a lump from his dad. And you know his dad and his mom was crazy about us.
I believe it, yeah.
You remember that, don't you?
I do.
Now, one of the Manhattans, I was talking to one of the Manhattans. I never forget this. We were sitting in the dressing room, and Alan Beck's father came in. Real quiet guy. You know how he was.
I do.
And my boy told me, he said, hey, man, he said, he on the prowl. He said, y'all knew, so I want you to know he going to be watching you. You know, but come to find out, and I think Alan Beck's mother was in love with Cliff. Cliff had that charm about her, you know.
He has the charm.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, those are some good. Those were some good. I mean, that was the big dinner, and then in our private dressing room, we had all kinds of things, whatever you could imagine. We've had some very nice experiences, and we've also been in dressing room where we changed with a dog in the dressing room. You remember that?
I remember.
I don't know what side of the city we were on. So we've had high-end experiences, and we've had we get up and we got dog hair on us because we're in the room with the dog, and it's been some different experiences with that. So, but before I get into why did you decide to leave, is there anything that you think that you would like people to know about you and the Notations that nobody else is going to be able to tell except from you? Anything that either is memorable or that you would want people to know about you as it relates to Notations?
Well, I know.
Well, let me say this right in the point to add to that. For a long time, I think you were considered the voice of the Notations. Now, because you led many of the songs and you had such a big personality on stage. So I never saw that go to your head in any kind of a way. It just seemed like it was just something you took as a part of just doing what you do, because you seemed to just master the stage when you were up there. But, I don't know what you did. I just wanted to add that in, man, because you had the voice and the personality.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Well, there's a go ahead.
No, I just wondering what would you want people to know if you weren't here? What would you want them to know?
Well, I don't know if a lot of the people are aware of the new group, the Notations. But I do notice that in a lot of the write-ups, uh, they have overlooked me, which is fine, but history is history. If you're going to do history, do it correctly. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Uh, I carried that group for many years, as the lead singer, 30 something years. Cliff was fortunate enough to have the vocal on I'm Still Here. That record carried us for many years. We had other hit records. I'm Still Here was the noted song for the Notations. And I'm not knocking that, but I think when you're dealing with history, you should put history up front, regardless of likes or dislikes or arguments or misunderstandings or what have you. Keep your history correct because you can hide it now; it's going to come out later. You know. So that's about it on
But
that, man. But
Bobby,
I
that's a
wish the
strong
guys
point.
well.
And I'm gonna tell you something. That is a part of the motivation for me wanting to do this too, because I've noticed that in
Mm-hmm.
things that I've seen about the new notations now and things that I see written up, 20 plus years is missing. It's as if you,
Yeah.
me, Michael Thurman never existed. Even though we have that kind of history, those kind of experience, it just doesn't come up in conversation, and I think that's a travesty. I think it's unfortunate, and that's one of the reasons why I started off by saying, if we don't tell our history in our own voice, in our own sound, people will make up their own stories about what the journey is. Even
Oh,
in
yeah.
Wikipedia, things like that, it may not
Yeah.
capture the truth of it. But once we do this, this is there. This is there for eternity, for our children, for our children's
Yeah.
children
Yeah.
to see, man, that's my dad there, that's my grandfather. And so that's what really happened, and that kind of thing. That's why it's so important to put our voice out there so people can hear that. Like I said to you offline before we went live, it's not about bashing anybody, but it's about being able to tell our own story in our own voice. Because some people might want to hear is the unsung story,
Right.
if you will,
Right.
and things like that. So why did you decide to leave, Bobby?
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Mm-hmm.
was, you had told me you were going to leave ahead of time, and
Right.
to me, because I grew up as an only child, group was like family to me. I wanted it to be that. And so you talking about leaving was a tear at my heart because I just thought we was all going to just ride this thing all the way out. My childlike vision, my childlike enthusiasm about it. I was thinking that's the way it was just gonna go, but that's not what life says.
Well,
So you
Ma.
told me you was going. Why did you decide to leave, man?
Well, I started having balance problems. And on that stage, you got to be in control of your movements,
You do.
and I started suffering with this neuropathy thing,
Yeah.
and it started to affect my balance. So that and some personal issues within the situation itself, within the group, made me decide to go ahead on and move on. And I'm glad I did. You know, I'm involved right now with a young man that has never been in the business, but he is a hell of a songwriter.
Mm.
And he's also involved deeply, deeply. Matter of fact, I'm going to call you probably one day this week and run some things by you might be interested in.
Okay.
But this young man has a contract with AI.
Mm.
He's got AI doing his music. He owns it. AI backing him. Okay. He's got all the ins and outs of how to deal with this AI situation. He bought me a tune that he wrote and had AI put a vocal on it. So I've been lining up some friends that's in the business, like some of the guys from Enchantment.
That's good.
Theo Huff. Are you familiar with Theo Huff?
I'm familiar with him.
Very,
Yes.
a very good gentleman. You know, I like Theo.
Okay.
Yeah, and a few other people to introduce him to them and let them hear some of the stuff he's got. They may want to record it. I'm only trying to deal with situations that people that are getting ready to go in the studio, or they're working on stuff to go in the studio, what have you.
So you still, even though you've retired,
but I'm excited about that. You know,
it sounds like it. So even though you're not
performing,
you retired from being on the stage recording, because you've done a lot of recording over time. I don't want to leave that out. You were the voice in "Make Me Twice the Man." Oh, It Only Hurts. You were the voice
hurts
on
for a little while. Bills break up homes. You make them, then you want to leave them alone. That was a great song.
You were the voice. You were the voice of the.
Well, Marcus,
you
I
even
am so.
What you say?
No, I didn't say anything. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. You were also. You had told me before this song that you had written and recorded for what is the guy that made Watermelon Man? Something Chopper, a Crime Stopper, something, some kind of song you wrote for a movie or something.
Chopper Jackson.
Yeah. Who was that you wrote that for?
Oh, Chopper Jackson. I didn't write that.
Oh, okay.
But the movie was Chopper Jackson.
Okay.
And that came about. It was going to be the theme. They were going to have a TV show. And it was going to be called Chopper Jackson. And the notations were picked to do the title song for that TV show.
Oh.
And Godfrey Cambridge was the guy that was the star. I forget his buddy's name right now. But Godfrey Cambridge died like, I think it was a few weeks before the release was supposed to come out.
Wow.
I wanted to go dig him up and kill him again. So that would have been a hit, man.
Yeah, you sang it for me a few times, so yeah, I like
Slipping and sliding. Slipping and sliding, peeping and hiding, like a real private eye. Private eye number one on the run. He's the bone for the soup, real front page scoop. Only he knows what he might do. Real hip talker, my man Chopper. Chopper Jackson, baby. That was going to be a hit, that dude. Gerald Dickerson wrote that.
I remember.
Do you remember
meeting
Gerald
him.
Dickerson?
I do remember meeting.
Do you remember Gerald Dickerson?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Is he still alive? Did he pass?
Yeah. Gerald Dickerson was also. Yeah, he's dead now. He was also the writer on that tune Walter doing called Super People Flying Higher Than High. Do you remember that one?
He wrote Super People.
I guess you don't, huh?
Yeah, I know the song Super People. He wrote Super People.
Yeah, Gerald Dickerson did.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Didn't remember that. Wow.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And he's passed on. So like you said, a lot of people have passed on. They're not with us anymore, man. So we're fortunate to still be here. And so it seems like what you're doing now.
And you know what?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Marcus. Go ahead. I forgot what I was gonna say now. Go ahead. When them numbers get on you, you get like that.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's just fortunate that we're still here. We're still around and we can talk about it. So I left the group, and it started feeling to me more like a stressful job than a joy. When I started going to rehearsals and I had to fight for what I wanted to do and what we were trying to do, and it became me against them, and it was just so much disruption in the energy that was in there. Just things weren't moving in a direction that felt good, so it no longer felt good. So before I turned into something I didn't want to turn into, or just add to the frustration, I said it's best that I move on my way and go ahead and pursue what I can do, and that's what I did. I just quietly backed away. Told him it was after our show at the Promontory. I told him after the show that was my last performance, and I told Mike, he came to the show, he came backstage, and I said, man, this is my last show after this. He had already left, and it was just me and little Eric Bryant, what we call him Little Eric, because there was two Erics in the group, and Cliff, and I just told them all after it was over that was it, and leave them to it. And they've been doing whatever they do since then, but it doesn't change what was and what did happen and what we did do. Can't rewrite the history. You try and erase it.
And you know what's so sad, Marcus, is with all of these acts dying out now, I really don't see anything coming down the pike that's gonna fill those shoes. But one thing I'm satisfied in knowing.
What's that?
R&B is gonna be here forever.
Yeah. I heard a quote from this singing young boy, Jamal Roberts. I think that's his name. Singing young boy. And somebody had questioned him about something, and he made a statement that passion never goes out of style. And mm-hmm. that is true. To be able to sing with passion and to bring that passion to the stage, that there's nothing like the passion of live performance. There's just nothing like it. The shows we used to do at Phoenix, when you talk about your balance, I remember you jumping off the stage at Phoenix Fest. And I remember being up on that elevated stage, and you were threatening like you were going to jump off, and I could not believe it. Could have been singing Last $2 because you sang that song a lot. And next thing I know, you had hopped your butt up off the stage and was down on the ground. And I was on stage shaking my head. Even I wasn't going to try that. Yeah, we've had some time.
Yeah, that's funny there, boy. Those were the good days.
They were. I don't know. I want to end on this note, but it made me think about when we were in Kalamazoo, and we were on stage, and somebody got to shooting out in the audience, and we had to leave the stage and not finish the show. Do you remember that? Oh, you're frozen there. Yeah. There you go. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Kalamazoo. But anyway, we've had some times. Yeah. And the fact that I'm still here, you're still here, people can check in with us. If people want to get in contact with you to find out, I don't know, are you managing the young man? Are you doing any bookings? What does that look like for you now? Not doing that?
I'm just guiding him.
Okay.
No, sir. I'm just guiding him because he's never been in the business. This guy 51 years old, So, and he can't sing, but he can write.
Okay.
He's a hell of a writer. You know, if I'm gonna spend my time with him, he got to be good at something, boy. You know.
Yeah.
So you know, and also he's a electrician. He works for the city.
Okay. He's got that other job going, kind of like you said you had.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, Bobby, I tell you, we've talked about a few things and some beginnings and some going forwards, and as they say, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, we'll get a chance to do some more things before the lights go out on the stage, you know, completely.
Looking good. I'm looking forward to that, man.
Yeah, me too.
I'm so glad to see that you're doing well at your venues and shit.
Thank you. I feel good about.
I'll be following you across the country.
I appreciate it. I feel good about it. It seems like what's working for me is music and messages. If I can create some good music, if I can give a good message and help folk feel a little better with either what they heard in a song or heard in a message, then it's a good day for me, you know. And I'm hoping, my intention is that this story that we're sharing here is something that'll make some people smile and feel good, and at least know more about some of the history from former members of the Notations, huh?
Thank you for listening to this CBS Podcast Short. If you would like to hear more on this topic, please email me at respect@marcusgentry.com. And don't forget to check back for new episodes.